Good evening, friends. It is good to be with you. Sorry it can't be in person. As we're recording this, the plan is actually to be on the road to Iowa on Wednesday evening. So I suggested to Pastor Joel that if you wanted to wait to start the meeting until 10 o'clock or so, I could perhaps join you in person. But we agree that that might be a little late. But maybe I will see a few of you around the area in the next couple of days. It's always good to connect with folks at East Union, and I really applaud you for taking the time during your business meeting to get to know the ministries that you support in your spending plan. And Joel invited me to share an introduction to the Corinthian plan, and I'm excited to do that. From my perspective, both in working in congregations in my current role and as a person who benefited from the Corinthian plan when I was pastoring, I think it's a really great example of mutual aid, which I think is at the heart of the gospel. I've invited Duncan Smith to join me this evening. Duncan is the director of the Corinthian plan for Mennonite Church USA. So Duncan, could you give us a bit of an overview of the plan and how it supports pastors and congregations?
Sure. Thanks, Lyle. And it's good to be with you in person as well. I really delight at having this opportunity to talk with you. And if there are any questions that aren't answered by this, you can pass them on to Lyle or send them to me directly, as you may have something that I don't speak to. The Corinthian plan began in 2010. It was actually in the midst of the health coverage crisis, and many of our pastors at Mennonite Church USA were not covered did not have health coverage. And in 2008, 2007, actually, at the San Jose convention, the delegates basically told the executive board to come up with something that works. And the Corinthian plan was formed, and formed in a way that just has the components, I think, that Lyle mentioned, of mutual aid, but also of a comprehensive plan. So it came online in 2010. We think, I didn't see exactly, but I think you participated maybe back to that time, certainly since 2015, but probably before that. So thank you for your participation. The Corinthian plan has health coverage. It also has life and disability coverages that are required for eligible employees, and there are optional vision and dental plans. So the one thing to remember as I talk a little bit more, I'm not going to go into those details, is that this is a very comprehensive plan that we offer especially with the optional dental and vision and life and disability plans. It's a deductible plan. I'm not going to go into those details, but I sent a flyer to Lyle, and Lyle could send that on to you. It's a good summary of what we do. But again, I think one of your questions or things you want to hear about is how this functions to help each other within Mennonite Church USA. So I want to talk about a couple of components of mutual aid. The first one is the subsidy plan for congregations. So this is an ongoing subsidy plan for congregations that struggle to meet their full premium. It's based on congregational income. So we try to make that fair. So the congregations on a sliding scale that have lower income would receive a higher subsidy. Right now we have 25 congregations that are on subsidy. There's one in Central Plains. There have been up to, I believe, 3 at different times in Central Plains. It's a fluid situation. The congregations that receive a subsidy vary, and this is one of the things I really like about the program, because there are congregations, and one in Central Plains that would be considered a rural congregation, and there are urban congregations. There are old congregations, and there are young congregations that are church plants. So the subsidy plan really aims to seriously provide access for those congregations that would not be able to afford the full premium for the month. You help to pay for that. Each congregation contributes $10 per average attendee annually. So if you have 50 people at average attendance for your congregation, you would pay $500 for the year toward that pot of money called the Fair Balance Fund. So we keep that separate, and it really is pretty much pure mutual aid, because this money comes from you, each congregation, and goes toward congregations that need it. So that to me is the purest sense of mutual aid. The second one that I would talk about is one that is more common in insurance companies with health insurance now, but was not when the Corinthian Plan came online. When the Corinthian Plan came online, it was before the Affordable Care Act, and before all companies were required to offer what's I'll call community pricing. So what community pricing means is that if there is a high claims and that affects our whole pot of money for somebody, no one is specifically or individually penalized for that. We spread that across all of the premium increases. So we're really sharing as a pool, this particular pool, in any premium increases. So in that way, you are providing, you're participating in helping your brothers and sisters in other congregations. You are not currently paying a waiver fee, but we also have a waiver fee, and this waiver fee helps to support the overall strength of the finances of the Corinthian Plan. I'm not going to go into detail on that, but we have been very successful, I think, in providing this access. We still need to keep reaching out, but that's something we've been able to do. And I'm not, because of time, I won't go into descriptives, but just know that the Corinthian Plan reaches to the urban and rural congregations. I will say one of the things we were able to do, we provided a premium holiday where in May of 2020, because we knew that COVID was going to have a financial impact. And so every congregation received a $0 premium for May. We asked each congregation if they wanted to contribute back to a fund, because we recognized there would be ongoing struggles for congregations during COVID. And we received over $100,000 from congregations. I was overwhelmed. I thought, oh, we'd get 20,000 or something like that.
Sure.
But we received $100,000. So this part of this is that I am very pleased with, and that I get to enjoy, is that I see a real commitment by congregations to each other, knowing that even though you don't know the congregations of benefit, that you know that other congregations within your I don't know, little village or big village, that they receive some help. So we always seek to do that. We have a wellness program as well, so if Pastor Joel, you haven't taken advantage of the wellness program, it's $150 for two different activities, and the spouses are eligible as well, even if they're not on the plan, but I know you're both on the plan. So look into that. So we try to do those things. We are challenged by communicating with you. So that's partly why this is really delightful for me, because the congregations are dispersed all across the country, and it's hard to find ways to talk to your contact person since it's employer-based, and we appreciate the individual volunteer time that you give toward that, since most congregations don't have an HR department. But this is an opportunity for me to speak to you and for you to see my face of the Corinthian Plan just a little bit. But I think, Lyle, what else would be helpful?
No, I think that's wonderful. Do you have a sense of sort of across the country how many pastors or how many congregations are taking part in the Corinthian Plan?
Thank you. I actually wrote that down, and I didn't say that. There are 305 congregations participating and 688 lives. I don't have the figure right in front of me of the number of pastors, and we do cover non-credentialed staff, as well. It's a different eligibility. It's 30 hours rather than 20, but so we
Sure.
cover both credential and non-credential.
Well, and there was a key part too. I think you said for pastors, it requires that you're working 20 hours a week or so, because I know there are certainly a lot of bivocational pastors, and so this provides an opportunity there for them to be maybe be involved in ways that they wouldn't in a traditional plan.
Yes, I think that's a great observation about access. Is in employer-based plans, it's often 30 hours, and we wanted to make sure that bivocational pastors, and they do not have to be receiving an income either. They might not be eligible for life and disability if they don't receive an income, but we have congregations where that's the case. So pastors are basically volunteering their time, or it's a church plant or such. And so we can help provide access, and then the subsidy program often is helpful in those cases.
Yeah, so it sounds to me like the notions of access and subsidy are very key. And again, that goes back to the comments about this being such a significant mutual aid component to our denominational life.
It was the goal in how it was developed. And
Yeah.
People
Good.
from Everence, people from Mennonite Church put together a solid plan that is also on solid financial ground.
Good. Well, thank you, Duncan.
There's
Yeah.
230 credentialed persons that are.
Okay, awesome. Great. Well, thank you, Duncan. This has been helpful for me to learn a little bit more about it. And as you mentioned, you passed along a flyer to me, which I've now passed along to Joel. And if people have questions there, they can certainly reach out to you, to me, to Kent Blossom in the Kelowna office, et cetera. And we'd be glad. But again, thanks to you folks at East Union, and prayer blessing on you all and on the life of the congregation as you minister to each other, to the community, and around the world. Thanks again, and blessings for the rest of your meeting.
Blessings.